All right, so let's mute that one.
And the ones from Denver, they get spun over on Martin Hill, and they come in around Clinton. So when I was in high school, we'd be sitting on the front porch in t-shirts, watching the blizzard. So that's why they put the town down. It was a supply base for Cripple Creek. Or the bypass it. It is. Let's see. Let's see if this is.
This one. Check, check, check.
I turned the speaker way down.
That's fine. I just want to see that.
I'm gonna sit right here.
Yes.
All right, so do you want to put,
This. I haven't used a flash drive in so long, I don't know where to find it. That's fine.
Are you a guest speaker, Casey? Great.
let's go to Microsoft.
Oops, that's the other one. This is what happens if you put an Apple person into. I'll get rid of that. I don't want that at all.
USB settings,
That's what I'm looking for.
right there at the top? No.
Yeah. Is everybody watching? That's the most nerve-wracking thing. Wait. Device isn't working properly.
Device is working properly.
Oh,
So
well, that's what I
did you-
want.
Okay, I don't know.
Go back down to the square window in the left bottom corner.
This one or this one?
Move to here.
Yep.
Right, and then go down to the open Microsoft something. First, click on Office. No, that'll bring you up. No. So it's on P for photo.
Hello?
It's under what?
P
Under feed?
No.
for PowerPoint.
Did you,
Oh, yeah.
I sent it to you in an email.
you sent it to me in an
Yeah,
email?
as an and it's on your thing as an attachment.
All right.
I don't have.
Can you, is my email up there for the, can we get in the email? Does he send it? Oh, right there, see? Will that be helpful?
Much.
Okay.
much better. Let's put this right to your drive, Mary, okay? I'll just leave it there, that's good enough.
Was it Google Slides?
It's a PowerPoint, but we'll see if I'm just gonna create a new copy. We'll see if it throws off your alignment on your slides, we'll just run it as it was. Should be good though. Okay. All right, so that's there. What we need to do is test. So here is. Here's your Zoom. Here it is here. All right, so here's your slide. So this is on here. So we're going to go to here. For now, though, we're going to open up the Zoom room as it was. Okay. Now, Frank, when you're logged in, sound checking. Justin, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, Fred.
Oh, great. Okay. All right. So this is the screen. So we're going to go when you want to get Cyril's position, you're going to share screen and then go back to this. Okay. Okay. Sound seems okay where it is. Coming from this one.
Yeah.
Camera's over here, but it's going to make sense.
And people from Zoom can see this.
They can see us on. So Justin, can you see your grant right now?
Yes, I can.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
But I applied to all the Ivy Leagues at MIT, so we all have to trade up. Well, normally it's very low, but this year they're expected to be even lower because you don't need to, and they already have a lower enrollment because they'll use. Absolutely.
They disagree with the woman over the years.
So man, I can't.
Then, Eric, or aren't you gonna attempt that tonight?
Turn the volumes down.
That's something really important to say. I love this stuff up here.
If you're logged in, the best way to log in is to cut and paste the calendar, the URL. Paste that into your browser. That'll take you right to it without a problem. Once you're logged in, turn your volume down on your device as low as it'll go. Mute it if you can. Some won't mute as they get older. And then if you want to speak, you can either go up to the microphone, which is the main camera, but I know for the board members, it's a little bit of a challenge. So you can unmute while you speak. And then mute again after you're done, or else whoever responds it will hack.
Do you think they all have to be logged into this with the setup that we currently have?
It's mostly going to be on the screen, so
It'll be
no.
just when they have something to say that will be where they will need to go closer to the microphone. What you think? Okay. So does that make sense?
And the comments that you made last time from these tables actually picked up on that, and everybody could hear you. Sufficient.
So you don't have to be logged into Zoom.
I know, that's why I didn't print them. And I can't read them off of it.
Yeah.
Again then.
You don't have to be. My IT person told us that we don't have to, everyone doesn't have to be logged into Zoom.
Yeah, the show is going to take place up here. You'll be able to see all that stuff up there. So if you want to take notes, your device will help you do that. But otherwise, Justin Koval, can you hear me from here?
Yes, I can, Fred. I can hear you.
So speak up a little bit. You'll be fine.
I'll give you a few minutes to get into board docs if that's what you're going to do. Did we have anyone from the audience that wanted to sign? Okay, Nate Ellis is, Fred, Nate,
I'm here.
I just need my other technical guy now, Nate.
Yes, I'm here.
There was a message that he had here, but I can't see
So
it.
if you go here,
Mhm.
okay, that'll bring up this chat.
Turn the Chromebook microphone on and the microphone on the other computer off.
We're good. I don't think we're echoing, are we, Nate? Hey, can you hear me? Nate, can you hear me?
I don't know if you guys can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Oh, okay. So yeah, you're just gonna want to turn the mic on the Chromebook and the mic off on Mary's device eventually, because otherwise when they go up to speak at the Chromebook and you flip that mic on, it's probably gonna give a bunch of feedback.
We're going to run it as it is. I don't think there's any feedback or echo right now.
No, but it's hard to hear you when you're standing where you are.
Oh, is it really?
If you switch.
This laptop that she's on doesn't want to mute.
Oh, gotcha.
So-
You just have to make sure you speak up then, that's all.
Okay. All right. That's what we're going to do. All right. Good.
Okay, so I think we're ready when you are, Frank. Or if everyone else is ready.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. We have 6 board members present and 1 board member via Zoom. If we can stand and salute the flag, please. First allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, and justice for all. Moving along, I have 2 minutes to approve a motion for motion for the minutes of February 23rd, the regular meeting. Changes, corrections, or modifications? Katie, how do you vote?
Yes.
Kelly? Jeff?
Yes.
Derek? Yes. Carrie?
Yes.
And Rachel?
Yes,
Thank you. I have a motion for the March 4th special meeting.
I'll make the motion, Frank.
I'll second.
Any modifications, corrections, or adjustments? Katie, how do you vote?
Yes.
Kelly? Jeff?
Yes.
Derek? Yes. Carrie?
Yes.
Rachel?
yes,
I'm a yes.
Okay, Frank, Nate is telling me it's very hard to hear you. So you might have to turn your microphone on
Okay.
when you're speaking.
And no oral communication at this point. This time I'm going to have the pleasure to recommend a motion for our student liaison. Jordan Brazy. Jordan, would you like to say something?
I would just first like to say why I feel as though I go closer to the speaker.
Sure.
Cole, can you hear me all right?
Yes, I can hear you.
I'd first like to say why I am interested in the position. I feel as though our school often does not always have the best light shared by students who view our school. We kind of have the stigma at Berlin as we go to Berlin, and it's not always seen in a positive light. I'm came here from another school, probably triple the size, and the opportunities at Berlin are unmatched by any school our size, our staff, probably unmatched by any school in the state with how much they care and how much effort they put in to giving opportunities to our student body. So as in this position, I'd just kind of like to share light to the opportunities we have as students that often go unnoticed. I'd also like to mentor someone for the position for next year, kind of help make the transition a little more smooth, have less time, training somebody new for next year. So they can be better prepared to take the position next year. I'd just like to say I thank you for motioning to elect me as a student board representative, and I'm glad to be here.
Thank you. Any other vote?
Yes.
Kelly? Jeff?
Yes.
Derek? Yes. Carrie? Rachel?
yes.
I'm a yes. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Jordan.
Oh, wait a minute, Frank, you have a sports update right after Jordan.
Oh, yes, I did. Sports update. Sorry.
Good evening. Before we introduce our students, let's make a point about the team effort it took to have a winter season. Most obvious to recognize are our coaches. These include Nate Ellis and Justin Koval for boys basketball, Karen Day and Jen Burns for girls basketball, BJ Connolly and Wade Cravers for wrestling, Danielle Myers and Michaela Jordan for cheer. Each of them demonstrated a dedication and a willingness to to do whatever it took to give our athletes a winter sports experience. I should also mention our swim coach, Adriana Rizzo, and bowling coaches, Michaela Marmot and Paul Slaver, for keeping their programs running smoothly as the others were getting up and going. There were also numerous individuals involved with our testing procedures. This was led by our nurse, Michelle Corsi, and also included Candace Sweener, Jennifer Yurden, Fred Hutchinson, Jody Sullivan, Dawn Demick, Mary Grant, Jean Hammond, Erin Cribble, and training by Sam Beardsley. We also thank our maintenance team for being on top of all deep clean necessary and during the testing and practices. And of course, our superintendent, Joe DeHara, who was immensely helpful, at every step of the way. As you can see, it really does take a village. That's enough from me. My pleasure now to introduce two students who participated in our winter sports. We have from boys basketball, Casey Billard, and from girls basketball, Kiana Levin.
I'd like to begin by saying thank you for everyone and all you did to help push sports and help allow us to be able to play sports. It really meant a lot to us, especially me, because it's my senior year and I've always played basketball through the school, and just to be able to have something at least to play and be able to play for my senior year, even though we might not have had games, but it meant a lot to me. I know the whole team meant a lot.
Yeah, I agree. As you pointed out, the conditions weren't ideal, but it was better than nothing. And it means so much to be able to get on the court with my teammates. And I'm sorry, I get a little emotional because I really like playing basketball. But I thought I wasn't gonna have any season this year, so just being able to play for a little amount of time meant a lot to me.
And I think this is a huge step forward towards normalcy, being able to play basketball, and now we can push forward and play other sports such as soccer, baseball, cross country, track. It's just a huge step forward. Thank you everyone for all your hard work.
Makes me really hopeful about the upcoming seasons for soccer and softball, baseball, other sports.
Thank you.
What was your biggest challenge as the students was getting ready for the games, participating in games?
No. Yeah. We didn't have
In
games,
fact, you know,
but
At least for the girls basketball team, one of the main ones was getting the number of players for the 2 weeks of our season when there are 4 people. Which obviously you can't do anything things with 4 people, but at least we had something, you know.
when the boys basketball, we had plenty of numbers, but we all that unfortunately ended our season. But even just to have a couple weeks that we had, it felt amazing, and it was just great.
School calendar, service items. Any of those items someone would like to hold? Not, could I have a motion for consent agenda items L? Is there a second? Any other further discussion? Katie, how do you vote?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Derek? Gary? Rachel?
Yes.
None, yes. Pretty brief tonight. Presentation of Clue was very good for the short time I was on before I got booted off the internet. It was a new style of production. It was very good and very fast moving. I really liked it. COVID is still around. Every forward game in instructional sports and other school activities have been very successful. And this is through the careful planning of administration and the staff implementing the plans. So I'm very grateful because we're one of the few districts that has not been closed. This is an effort on everyone's part. COVID is not gone. If you look at the stats in Italy, now in Canada, hitting very hard again. So they want to think it's over, but it's not. Everyone here is doing a fantastic job. A to Z, and it takes a community here to make this school work. So thank you. Superintendent's report.
I'll try and be brief too. I promise myself. So I want to start by saying congratulations to the Berlin Future City team, Mrs. Hayes and Mr. Scannell and students. They got an award, Best Use of Renewable Energy Award. So I do want to reach out to them, thank them. I want to thank the students who participated by speaking out today and speaking up. Your voice matters. And what we would like is more and more of student voice and parent voice to be a part of our district, be a part of our meetings. So I want to thank each of you for having the courage to come up here and speak. It's not easy speaking in front of an audience, but you did a great job. So I want to thank all of you. We also are having collaborations coming up because in a safe manner with various community organizations, the Taconic Valley Soccer Club, and us, we are collaborating right now in terms of soccer for our pre-K students, the little ones. We're also collaborating with Steventown Library in terms of a walk, a historic walk that they will do. And Mr. Paravalla worked very closely with Steventown Library to make sure that our soccer practice and the walk, the historic walk, can both take place. So that is a really good thing that we're able to collaborate as well. In this past week, I've had very productive meetings with town supervisors in Petersburg, Steventown, and Berlin. So we're looking for avenues to collaborate more closely together, and not just in terms of events, but also in terms of directions, like how to open opportunities for our students, both in the community and in the district collaborative. So those are going very well. The capital project bids are going out on March 17th, which is tomorrow. So fingers crossed we get good bids. And then I will update the board on where we stand with regard to the bids from the capital project. For our pre-K program, we're going to stay with Quastar for the 21-22 school year, and then look into getting our curriculum aligned and also some other aspects aligned. We want to take it slowly and methodically. We want to make sure we do it right. So that is something I did want to mention. Frank already mentioned COVID. We continue to receive updated guidance. And at this time, there are a couple of new guidances that have come out. One of them is referring to fully vaccinated employees who are greater than 2 weeks or less than 3 months from their second shot. They can travel out of state, as well as if they have an exposure, they do not have to quarantine. But it is very important for everyone to understand that we do need proof of vaccination. So that is something that we are emphasizing with our employees as well. There is something else to consider which just came out. When people are going for vaccines, the latest guidance states they do get 4 hours to get vaccine shots. So we did communicate that with the employees. And we will work closely with our staff to make sure that if they're wanting to get a vaccine, if they're having any side effects, we're working closely with them to make sure that we are successful. There is conversation going on right now regarding 3 feet versus 6 feet. And what that refers to is our current guidance says that students need to be 6 feet apart in the classrooms. But there is conversation regarding reducing that distance to 3 feet. But we have to be careful about it. Right now, Rensselaer County has not said yes to going to 3 feet. If we do go to 3 feet, we have to look at transportation, cafeteria, always everything together, because we will be almost at full capacity if we were to go to 3 feet. We have already started planning for it though. So Cyril and I have been talking about getting some more dividers for students. We've been talking about how do we manage transportation and students being in the classrooms if it's 3 feet apart. So we have already started the planning process in preparation of if New York State, if the Rensselaer County BOH were to tell us we're going to 3 feet, we already have a plan in place. So I did want to make sure I updated the board on that. This year's voting, due to COVID safety precautions, we're going to have the voting and in the cafeteria at the Berlin Middle High School instead of the Berlin Elementary School gym. And the reason is that there is easy access from the outside to the cafeteria, as well as we can ensure that there is no interaction between those who are coming to vote and our students who are already in the building, thereby maintaining COVID safety protocols. So I did want to mention that as well. Right now we have received guidance to start planning for end of the year celebrations, but we haven't received permission yet to do it. So it puts us in an interesting place. So the principals right now are planning end of the year events, and we're hoping that we'll be able to do our end of the year events. But we have not yet received permission. So I do want to mention that as soon as we receive permission, you will be the first to know, because I'll be very excited once we can do that. I'm continuing to visit classrooms, and I'm absolutely amazed at the creativity and hard work of our teachers and staff. It is absolutely amazing. If I start talking right now about kindergartners, I won't stop. So I'm going to stay away from that. But I do want to give kudos to our teachers, our staff, for doing a phenomenal job in the middle of a pandemic to make sure our schools stay open and that our students continue to get a quality education.
Legislative liaison.
Trying to get information. There's a lot of information out there. It's very complicated. So I think it's gonna happen. You seem to indicate. But, you know, that's what they say now.
Change tomorrow.
Yes.
Board member comments. Katie.
I would just like to, I guess, watch Blue. Very different setting, but with two little kids, it's actually, it was really nice. It amazed me the talent with the technology and how they were able to come on and off the screen seemed flawlessly. So it's an excellent presentation.
Kelly.
I'd just like to say that I am impressed with how well the school district is doing in terms of management. The opportunity to watch both of my grandchildren last week because they were quarantined because of the situation. So it's a real struggle, an ongoing struggle, and I think we're doing it.
I want to say my kids have really, we were holding elementary school, really enjoyed the team-based last week or so with the crazy hair day, dinner day. Sherry?
I was just thinking, I agree with Joe. I was thinking tonight, before coming, how wonderful our teachers have been in this pandemic. I think that many have gone above and beyond to reach for the needs of the kids are met. And if you look at how they're having to teach, many learning a new style teaching online, many providing both online and in person. They have a lot to juggle. So there, you have lots of learning going on, but I really feel like our teachers should be commended for the job well done. And I appreciate it.
Rachel, I don't know if we can hear you. You have a comment? Not there. Moving along, facilities committees. It's coming out tomorrow. Hopefully we'll do it now.
I believe that the timeline was.
I think we're gonna do, if I'm correct, we're gonna do a bid opening on the 14th of April. That's what I had to advertise anyways.
Snapshot, Berlin Elementary.
Should I go up to the front and speak? Okay, at Berlin Elementary, we just came to the end of the second trimester, which in of itself is just something that happens every year, but this year sort of has new meaning, that we have been able to stay in school and continue teaching and learning through these first two semesters. So students will receive their report cards this coming Friday. Report cards will be mailed home for any of our remote learners. Also this week, we have a staff developer from Questar 3 who's been visiting our classrooms. Her name is Susan Marks, and she is observing in all of our K-5 classrooms. Later in the month, she's going to be providing some professional development across the district K-12 on differentiation and strategies for teachers to use. And then lastly, I know Derek had mentioned some of those fun spirit days that have been happening. This Friday, a team of our teachers, we're doing something new. It's called Rock Your Socks. And there's some meaning behind it. It is celebrated each year to raise awareness for individuals living with Down syndrome. So I happened to be in a second grade classroom this afternoon, and the teacher was talking to the students about this concept. And it was just nice to hear dialogue and conversation amongst the students about students being unique, people being unique and different, and celebrating those differences. So feel free to rock your socks on Friday.
Thank you. High school. Jody?
Yes, hi everyone, joining you remotely. Just want to echo a few sentiments. Congratulations, Jordan. Very glad to have you representing us, of course. We have had not along with the success of Future Cities, we've also had our masterminds team performing well. I actually believe there was a recount and they ended up winning the competition that they weren't sure whether or not they had come out on top. I will report that we have also had some professional development with Susan Marks, but also some in-house PD with Schoology and consistency with best practices. I want to make sure that Loretta and Dawn, Loretta Koza, Dawn Demick, and Nate Ellis get a very gracious thanks from us for the work that they've been doing. It's taken a lot of their time. And right alongside them with a huge time commitment has been Michelle Corsi. I can't say enough about her and what she has done to make sure that we're safe and our students are safe, and that she's got accurate contact tracing whenever necessary. She's really done such a great job as our COVID representative. What's happening new, our character ed program is up and running with a What's Up Mountaineers led by Michaela Marbett. Would expect to see more positive social media coming out from them along the lines of character building, and certainly the restorative practices, culture building work that Sam Brewer started. Our character education program has snowballed and has started to take on some of those pieces as well to apply to students and to apply to teachers and buses and the classroom. Congratulations definitely to the Berlin Dramateers with their performance of Clue. I enjoyed that greatly. If there are any ninth graders out there, tomorrow the Link crew will be having a virtual party at 2:45. Everyone is invited. Miss Hart and Miss Bugby are the advisors running that. And I also just wanted to point out, we had a significant challenge about 10, 11 days ago on the 5th when we found out that there was no internet at school for the day. And I just wanted to point out, as hard as it has been to completely roll over to relying on technology and expecting our technology to work, and then all of a sudden we ran almost an entire school day, periods 1 through 6, without it. And I made sure I was kind of in a buzz, in a hurry to get to work, to make sure that everyone was situated and that I could, be there to put out fires wherever necessary. And they no one needed me. They just got going and had a good old-fashioned unplugged day, and really good teaching and learning happened. And those activities were uploaded to Schoology so that our remote learners could participate when the internet was back up and running. But there's a ton of creativity. I don't know why I even had a fear in my mind, because every single challenge has been met and overcome. So I think our next challenges are certainly state testing and preparing for our end of year celebrations. And I'm excited to find out what will happen, and certainly you'll all be in the know.
Thank you. National education.
I was gonna be brief, but I kept adding things to my list as I was sitting here, so I'll do my best. So first of all, I do just want to thank the board for approving the 3 educational contracts tonight. These are all very specific services that we're very lucky to bring in these specialists to be able to work, with our students with disabilities who have very unique needs. So thank you. I'll just say annual reviews. We're getting there. We've made it down to the elementary, so we have a couple more weeks of those. I just wanted to mention Susan Marks too. I've been able to sit in, on the planning meetings with Susan in terms of what she's going to provide to our staff in terms of professional development. And it's nice because what she's bringing in really builds on the work that Fred and I started a couple of years ago. So, it's nice to know that Fred and I were on the right track, that someone coming in, with an outside perspective is seeing the same things that we are, and that her training is really going to align nicely with that work we started a couple of years ago. In terms of the special education improvement plan, we've done some continued work with the state. They had some office hours in terms of IP writing and goals with our exceptional education staff. They were so complimentary about our staff, about our teachers, how open they were, the work that they were doing. It was really nice feedback. We also started some really deep data analysis. Fred was also at that meeting in terms of our graduation rate for students with disabilities, course failure, credit accumulation. I mean, it's a lot of information we had to provide with them. It's a massive spreadsheet. I think we only touched the surface in terms of taking a look at that, but it was important to work to really try to get to the root cause of why some of our students are struggling and why aren't they successful and why aren't they graduating from high school. So definitely more work to do there. Again, I think the Spirit Month has been really nice, especially to see our staff participating. And this is really what this year was about. It was about building the foundation so that we can start to really implement these practices in the coming years. So that's been really nice to see. I had the staff that were not in training with Jody and Fred. I had them working on some restorative practices work, and they were really tasked with just coming up with a lesson, some sort of community building lesson that they could implement in their classes. And I had some teachers come back really inspired, and they said, "Oh, I'm actually going to do the lesson that I just designed for you." So that was really nice to hear. And I'm going to be observing one of those lessons this week. And there's another middle school teacher who, he emailed me and said, "Yeah, I'm going to do this. Like, you gave me a great idea." And I told him to invite me in when he does it too. And just little things I'm going to put her on the spot. But Ariel, I know, has been doing some restorative things in her classroom. I've asked to come in to be able to observe that too. And I know you said, it's just a couple minutes in the beginning of class, but that's one of those things, right, where you put in the time and it's an investment, right? And you get that time back with that community you built. So I'll say, I was feeling down in the beginning of the year. I felt like restorative practices was just moving really slowly, more slowly than I would have wanted it to. But I feel like now I feel like the ball is really rolling. And I'm definitely very excited about it. And then the only other thing I wanted to mention is you may have seen on the Facebook page, I did put out a posting asking for volunteers for parent members. It's something we don't really have a very healthy list of parent members right now for our CSE committees, and there's 3 free trainings coming up. Some of them are during the day and some of them are during the evening. I've had 2 parents reach out so far about volunteering, which I'm very happy about. Those individuals, if they do go through the training, do need to be board approved to be able to be parent members. So I just kind of wanted to put that on your radar, that hopefully we will have some names for that soon.
Thank you. Thank you. Curriculum instruction.
So to piggyback off of some of what my colleagues have said, I met with Jane King this morning. Jane King is a provider from Questar 3 BOCES. And what we did was we reviewed the 2015 action plan that Questar 3, the board and the district had asked Questar 3 to do. And it was nice to hear her comment on the progress that we've made over the last 5 or 6 years in terms of that. And it goes to the data-driven instruction component and how we are really using data to drive all sorts of decisions, both systemically, but also classroom-based decisions. That is promising. And not only that, but that is really how we have maintained COVID successes and how we will continue to turn the successes we have now into long-term successes for students for years to come. Some NICED updates. So what we know is that NICED is currently waiting for the U.S. Department of Education to decide on the waiver. NICED has asked the USDE for a blanket waiver to remove all assessments for the year. The USDE has indicated that they're not going to do that. So what we are expecting is an extended window. A window came out today for 3 through 8 assessments that is 10 days long and not 3 days long. We'll have some discussions tomorrow, I believe, to determine which days we're going to take advantage of. We know that the practicum part, which is the lab work around science, has been eliminated for the 4th and 8th grade science assessments, but the written part probably will still take place unless that waiver comes through. We know that 4 Regents exams are likely. Those are ELA, Algebra 1, Living Environment, and Earth Science. We're waiting on there's confusion over whether or not we have to provide both the Living Environment and Earth Science. That's going to be dependent on, again, that guidance. The rest of the examinations at this point, at the minimum, will be eliminated for graduation purposes for this cohort. So those are positive things for our kids. Less school means less likely. We also think the language reads that the 4 exams that we may have to administer may also not count towards graduation. So we're looking at a real positive thing for students, less stress on our teachers, and less stress on our system to try and adapt this late in the year. So all those things are really positive. For my part, unannounced observations do continue. They're going pretty well. I saw some phenomenal stuff today at the elementary school, just stuff that I loved. I talked to Tracy about it, just really impressive. Susan Marks from Questar 3 has been helping us, as Sam indicated and Jody indicated. And then Sam and I were unpacking a lot of that data for exceptional education. Mr. Dahar and I met on the ELA and math programs, talking about continuity K-12, really looking at those programs that are going to be that I spoke about last time at the elementary school, but also how they roll into the continuum. I was asked to join the National Committee for McKinney-Vento, which is our homeless liaison program. So I began that last week. That's interesting. What we're looking at is a lot of really heart-wrenching stuff coming out around students of poverty. I don't know how it's going to impact us necessarily, but as a rural school with some rising notoriety and notability, it's nice to have us included in that conversation. Rensselaer County Safe Schools met. I'm part of that committee, and those 2 elements connect. Right now, we're looking at whatever economic hardships we're looking at, but we're also potentially looking at an increase. Right now, rent and mortgages are not due. When they do become due, we're watching that statistic because I fear it, my colleagues fear it in roles similar to mine. That could really have an impact on those neediest students. And then Amy Donahue and I are in the process of reviewing a series of progress monitoring programs for the secondary level as well. We're not really crazy about SRI, SMI. I think we're going to find something shortly that will work well to help us, again, go back to that data-driven instruction and really make that actionable. Thank you.
Thank you. Look in the crowd. So, along with the report that you have in your Word documents, things in buildings and ground have been extremely busy of late. We have been working with the architect on trying to close out project number 1. And get that finished. We had a fire inspection done of the bus maintenance facility. Unfortunately, we were cited for a couple of things there with regard to protection of the above ground propane tank and also the gas regulator where it goes into the building and also inside the building. So I've met with a local contractor the latter part of last week. I have pricing. I've spoken with them yesterday. So hopefully we'll be able to get that rectified within the next week to 2 weeks and be able to get the bollards installed around the above ground tank in front of the regulator outside of the building. And then we're going to do a temporary measure inside that hopefully will get us through the fire inspection report, which is the last component of actually being able to, before the architect can submit the substantial completion certificate for that building, and we can actually get a certificate of occupancy. So that's kind of where we stand with that. I've been working with the architect a great deal, trying to work through some final last minute things with project 2 and get them into the documents so that when they go out to bid tomorrow, they'll be as complete as they can be. We also have an RFP, which I'm sure Karen will speak to, out for construction management services. Those will be due back on Friday. I met with a construction management company today and toured the facilities with them in order to put in a proposal for that particular project. There's been a number of regulatory things going on. Gender neutral has come to the surface again, and so we have to purchase some signs and do some markings within the school buildings, and also the bus maintenance facility and the old bus garage with regard to that as well. So signs have to be posted in any particular area that has any bathroom that has only a single toilet in it. So I'm sure that, you know, for principals and others, you're going to be seeing those go up. Today we had a food drive that was sponsored actually by Rensselaer County, and it was hosted here at the school district. We set up the parking lot out front as a receiving area. People came in the entrance and out the exit. They helped about 400 families who are in need with case boxes of various food items and whatnot like that. So that was really a plus for us. So sports will be a big thing. I've met with Chuck. We met last week and talked about some things, and we're going to be getting the fields ready so that soccer can proceed and the other sports can proceed. Very busy, and you'll see my budget in a little bit. Thank you. Education, Food Service, Technology, and Business Office.
So I'm going to start with food service. As you know, our food service program is normally very robust. They are self-supportive, not only salaries, but equipment, vehicle. This year, obviously, is a very different year. So we are in the process of looking at our expenses versus our revenues, and we are expecting a gap in the negative amount, so that you know. We don't expect it to be large. We are trying to minimize that as much as possible as far as utilizing commodities, limiting the purchases that we're making through the end of the year, and we are trying to supplement our revenues with paid items such as second entrees and snacks. But we haven't received all of our revenues for February, March yet, but just so that you're aware, we are expecting that. And the thing with that is the A fund has to support the C fund. So we will have to take from the general fund to support our C fund if we do have that gap. But I'll keep you updated as we get more information on that. Regarding next year, though, we are looking forward to a full, regular, typical program. Heidi and Tammy are already starting to get on board with, regular menu planning and how that all looks. So we are looking forward to next year, hopefully being typical. IT, I will say that we cannot keep up with the repairs to Chromebooks as much as they're coming in. As soon as they come in, and we get them out, another one comes in. And the unfortunate part is there are no Chromebooks that are reliable. I'm gonna say reliable because there are some from off brands or just lesser quality brands that's throwing good money after bad. Those we are now trying to switch over and get some Dell Chromebooks, but we have not been able to get a Chromebook in all year. So I'm just going to remind everybody to remind students and kids and grandkids and friends, please be careful with that equipment. Make it last through June, please. Additionally, we have Category 2 funds for E-rate. We passed on those funds this year because while we had that out to bid, it came to our attention that we had some failing servers. So we were able to get everything back up with NERIC, but our intention next year is to apply for those funds to replace those aging servers. Those funds have to be used within 5 years, so that would be year 2. We have 3 more years, and at the end of those 3 years, we will have some aging switches. So we will put into support, the purchase of those. It will not cover the total cost is about $116,000 is what we received. It won't cover all of that. It will cover 100% of the servers that cost, and let me explain that though. It only will pay for 80%. But the total cost that we're going to end up putting out in both of these items, it won't cover all of them. The switches obviously will be less. That'll be covered. Transportation, we are going to go over the bus proposition budget this evening. Everyone down there is definitely, these staff love these students. They sign up for the same runs because they want those same students that they know and love year after year after year. And they are so looking forward to sports. So looking forward to that competition and that excitement and, just the regular camaraderie with the New Lebanon students. So we're really happy about that starting back up. Business office, as Cyril said, several RFPs. We received bids for the auditor RFP that went out recently. We put out 6 bids directly for the construction manager. We received 2 more requests for the proposal from other companies, as Cyril has mentioned. We also have an RFP for OT, PT, and OTA that's going to be going out soon. Did I say that right? Oh, just the PT. I'm sorry. That's right. My mistake. Just the PT. That'll be going out soon. Business office, we're looking at those end of year tasks right now. Such as we do have a spending freeze in place. That's typical. We do that every year. So we do have that in place right now. We're getting pay schedules with the approval of the calendar. So we'll be getting pay schedules ready, open enrollment information, all things that go out at the end of the year. And then all those things that we have to get ready for July as soon as we switch over to a new year. And we are still trying to keep pace with the changes regarding COVID, quarantines and vaccines and days you can take off and days you can't. And so it's just very busy everywhere you look.
Moving on to 21-22 budget development discussion. Service.
It's on it. Look here. Okay. Find what you need.
Do I need to go over here and say? I'll do that first.
Fred. Does she need to share the screen
Do I do that first?
first?
Yeah, do it. Yeah. It's on Mary's Drive.
Before you go, they won't be able to see that there. So let's down here, share the screen. So you're just going to go back to. Yep.
Go back and hit
Yep,
further.
that's
Okay.
it.
Awesome. Thank you. I'll make you go or you'll make it go?
You'll make it.
I'll make it.
I'm sorry, I can't do.
No, that's fine. Let me do this.
My skills are limited. I think if you just hit the smart board, it will advance it. If she just hits it.
Not a teacher, don't know how to operate the smart board. I just tap it.
Imagine what we're gonna know when we get done with this.
Okay, so as I said, the regular budget, as can be expected, is not changing. We are expecting, hopefully, a typical year next year. So there will be field trips again, there will be sports trips and all those things that we didn't do, hopefully. So this is our debt service budget. This has to do with the amount of money that we put out regarding the buses. So you can see these are different bands that we've had year over year. This is the total payment that we've been paying. So what we try to do is keep this rather flat. It goes more like a heartbeat, but no peaks and no valleys. That's what we attempt to do. So what I'm proposing, so this $95,000 here, this is what we're going to pay. These are actually the buses from last year. All right, how to make it go back?
Back there.
Okay, I won't touch it again. Okay. But this is our buses from last year. We pay for the buses in the following year for the year that we purchased them, after the year that we purchased them. So this payment is for the buses that we purchased last year. So going forward, what the proposition says is a maximum of $160,000. Now that is a maximum, so that's what we've done that dollar amount as. So basically, this is the worst case scenario. It can only get better depending on when those final numbers, those final quotes come in. So the $160,000 would be $32,000 over the next 5 years. But you can see how it goes 242,000, 253,000. And this 229,000 is because we have another payment that falls off. And this is why year over year, you know, we try to keep up with the bus replacements. So we don't have everything needs repairs at the same time. Everything gets rusty and old and mileage is over at the same time. So this is all we try to do is just keep this number flat. So this is how that works out. That's fine. Over here, I just put it, average interest is 2% or less. So that's what we typically have. So the first one is a 30 passenger. That's that smaller van looking bus. We refer to them as vans. They're not vans like you're thinking, but it's that smaller bus. The quotes that we're getting are between $59,000 and $64,000. We're looking for one of those. 7 passenger vehicles are the Suburbans. We're also this year looking at minivans. We're trying to see what's going to accomplish our goals, but yet can still handle our terrain and our geography. The 7 is still the same. The minivans now come with all-wheel drive, so we're feeling that out. But those, we're getting quotes between $42,000 and $48,000. We're looking at 2. The whole thing is we have to come in under that 160. If this all is on the high end, then we will only get 1 and 1 because we will not exceed that 160. Like I said, the annual payment being $32,000. Our current transportation aid rate is at 63.9%. That's up over 2 years ago in 1920, when we were at 60.1. So the local share year over year of that $32,000 or of that every year is $11,552. The other half of it is going to be aided. So this is just some reminders as to why we try to keep up with the regular bus replacement plan. This is saying, you know, what the proposition is: 130 passenger, 2 7 passengers for a max cost of $160,000. Our state aid is over 60%, so approximately $11,552 per year. When I say we, this is the transportation supervisor and the head mechanic. Keep a life cycle analysis of the buses. It's not only based on age, but it is based on mileage. It's based on rust factor. All of those things come in, not just age. It also depends on our population and where we're going and who we need to get where. So our bus replacement plan, we try to have it 10 years out and what we think we need to be replacing. Of course, again, a lot of that depends on if DOT comes down and says you have to take this one off the road, then we adjust. So if the proposition is defeated, we'll just continue with our existing district vehicles. But of course, the biggest problem that we have here is deterioration of the buses due to the salt and the snow and those types of things. Hopefully, new project bus wash gets there, and that helps to defeat some of that. This is just the facts. Our buses carry over 700 students to and from school every day. They're also used for field trips, sporting events, even our local youth groups and church groups, and other weddings and things utilize our buses also. So just the most important thing, bus replacement plan meets two goals: keeping our kids safe by putting only healthy buses on the road, and keeping our costs down by taking advantage of state aid reimbursements. That's all I have. Anyone have any questions about that?
That is without aid, right? So it's actually 60% of that is what we pay off the local share.
I'm sorry, say that again. You're talking about the payment. That payment is no aid is taken out of that. That's just the payment.
The payment.
Right, so
it's actually
63.
not as high on the local share.
Correct. Correct.
So it's really like 100,000.
Right. That's the full payment, no aid is taken off of that. I mean, Derek, I can't tell you the oldest bus in our fleet right now. Most of them we have replaced to at the very least. We have most of them that are under warranty now. I believe we still have a couple that aren't, but I believe those are the Suburbans, and that's why we're looking to start replacing those.
So this year, so with your projected plan, it's roughly $11,000 more than last year. I know you said that you try to keep away from that trend. Since there's only 24,000 is what is expiring next year, are you guys looking at doing a really small plan next year to account for the 11 grand gap and having a small payment expiring as is?
Yeah. Now, some of that's going to depend on, because that $32,000, I'm basing that on 160 with 2% interest. If the 2% interest is less, then great, it's less than 32,000. If we end up only going with a couple and we don't even max that out, that number then becomes smaller. So that 24,000 that following year, the 24,000 over 5 years is about one 66 passenger bus. So that's immediately right now in that 10-year replacement plan that we have going. That's what we're assuming we can do next year. And we do. We base it off of these bus propositions and what gets approved on whether that is higher or lower. And again, 124,000 for 125,000 for a 66 passenger bus also means possibly 2 vans or a couple, it all depends. But that's the general number that with 125 that we would go with is 66 passenger.
Have a summary report, show the year of the buses, the mileage, and the cost of repair per year.
The cost to repair per
No,
year,
how much do we put in a bus each year?
I think that depends on the bus. I can ask Rick. We definitely have the year, the mileage, all of that.
I'm looking at what get over a certain age of a bus. Are we putting more into it each year than we should be? Should we review the plan?
In the past, yes. Now, as I was saying to Derek, we don't have many that are not on warranty. So if they're still under warranty, we try to trade them out before they expire, from that warranty.
Okay, before you used to get their package, you get a summary report of the mileage, the year of the bus, and cost of repair year to date.
Okay. Oh, we could probably put something like that together.
So time flies and these buses have been changing. Of course, this year they had.
Are you looking for the last?
No, the cost that we put in each year, so the calendar year, so the bus is 6 years old and this year costs say 1,800 to fix. When it's 8 years, I put 5,000 in.
So I'll tell you that we can definitely put something like that together. However, I think it's going to be a little more broad because I don't believe that we're tracking our expenses per bus. So if we're saying we do track what we put on those buses. We put new tires on that bus when we've done an oil change, but we haven't attached the cost to that.
I think it comes into when we go to a new facility, maybe a software program that tracks preventative maintenance, repairs, whatever.
Also, you may have a bus that's only a relatively new, it's a hangar. So
Yeah.
So you want to weed those out too. It's really nice to have it. Oh, and one clarification, if you look at these numbers, it's not really going to drop to 127 because each year you're adding another line item for that year. So it's gonna be a little like this, not like this.
My question was on the total payment for the 2020 to 2023 year. So it's going up 11 grand from last year. I was wondering if that trend was going to continue going up to the 260 in the future years, or if it
We
was
try to do
gonna
less.
or if it was going to be a less, if you're going to do a really small payment last year to account from the deficit this year. And since that 24,000 number is what will kind of be added to that, what we're allotted to use next year.
So think of it in a way, that, we try and stabilize it. So every year it might go up a little or it might go down a little. What we're trying to avoid is big swings. So that in 1 year it went up by 100, next year it dropped by 200. We don't want to do those kind of swings. So what we try and do is try and stabilize it, but it's extremely hard to keep it absolutely flat because, of the interest rate, because of the price of the buses that we buy, how much it's going to cost us, and all these other factors. But what we try our best to do, and that's what Ms. Capozzi was showing, was how we're trying to make sure that when one payment comes off, a similar payment comes on. So that way, year to year, we're kind of keeping it stable. But good question, good question.
Also, too, the 32,000 is worst case.
Yeah.
If the bus comes in $10,000 cheaper, will be what we were last.
That closes that $11,000.
But you gotta plan worst case.
Fred, did you have a question?
I was only going to say that our newest board member asked a terrific question. She's going to be a Berlin graduate, and she's got a full ride to Villanova that she's considering. So,
Wow.
of all the reasons to be proud of the kid.
Okay, then I will exit. You want me to pull up Cyril? Yes. Maybe it's one of these, but like his, I was just going to share Cyril's, but it wasn't like showing. It didn't have a name.
You gotta escape out of yours because you're full screen. Then we'll go back to zero, share screen. Oh, no, before I share screen. Zeros. That one there, right? Nope. There we go. Let's move this. Do we need to see them? Oops.
All right, I'm getting my technology lesson for tonight. So I want to first begin by just thanking the superintendent for a new breath, bringing some positivity to the district. When we had our budget discussion, we talked about, how to put things together. And quite honestly, so I've done something a little bit different tonight, starting off with some of the high points of buildings and grounds for the past year. I want to thank you again for all that you're doing and helping us to bring positivity to ourselves and to our departments. Not something that building and grounds has been really strong on in the past. So again, hopefully this will go well. So the accomplishments of buildings and grounds since March of 2020, which is when the COVID pandemic actually struck. We provided direction to secure all of the district buildings immediately following the March 17th, 2020 executive order by the governor to close all buildings. As a result of that, and as a result of COVID-19, we had to learn and adhere to constantly changing CDC, New York State Department of Health guidelines for health and safety measures during the COVID-19 pandemic. I helped to co-facilitate with Michelle Corsi, the school nurse, the Health and Safety Committee, to develop a plan for the safe reopening of the schools. And that was a multifaceted plan with many of the administrators and outside general public people involved and so on and so forth that actually crafted that reopening plan. We kept all of the buildings open and clean during an accelerated construction project over the 2020 and into the 21 year. We carried out routine summer cleaning and building maintenance despite the ongoing construction, and continued to clean and maintain all facilities until classes resumed in September of 2020. We trained all of the custodial members to properly use disinfecting supplies and sanitizing equipment, with adhering to new cleaning protocols issued by the CDC, New York State Department of Health, and other regulatory agencies. We provided instruction for the custodial staff as well on the disinfection of all high-touch surfaces, including but not limited to doorknobs, door frames, all bathroom, locker room, and plumbing fixtures, water bottle filling stations, classroom office furniture, and more. With the help of my secretary and myself, we researched and purchased personal protective equipment for all students, faculty, and staff throughout the district. We also purchased disinfecting cleaning supplies and sanitizing equipment designed to mitigate the virus spread. We maintained our cleaning supply and PPE inventories, and we continue to do that to date, distributing items to district buildings as they're needed. I served on the district health and safety committee and helped to formulate a plan for the safe reopening of the school, as well as many of the other administrators. I remain in close communication with the health office personnel to maintain cleanliness and safety following positive COVID-19 exposure. One of the proudest things is that I'm proud to have ECSD be one of the only school districts in Rensselaer County that was able to open in September 20 and has remained open all year without having to go to fully remote learning. I think that's a great accomplishment by my staff. And we've utilized almost no staff from other departments, substitutes, or overtime to accomplish the cleaning and disinfection that has been required for the schools to open continuously. So many of the other districts have had to utilize staff out of other departments, whether it be food service, transportation, teachers, teaching assistants, or et cetera, to help with the cleaning, and we've been able to get it accomplished in our normal work. So as far as the budget adjustments for this year, they're really very minor. There's only just a few specific areas where I'm asking for increases. So they're in the equipment line, and we've built into the budget for the next school year to add $7,500 to the middle school, high school furniture budget code. And that is for furniture and equipment for the newly renovated science rooms and spaces, as well as an interest expressed by the principal to update some older classroom furnishing. Berlin Elementary School, we've added $7,500 to the equipment line there as well. That's to purchase furniture and equipment that will be needed for the UPK and TPK preschool programs that are planned to run in the district in the school year 2022-23. It will help us to get that furniture in advance of waiting for next year's budget, so that we have it in place for when those classes start in fall of 2022, as well as updating some of the older furniture that's in that building as well. And also to possibly help with the purchase of new cafeteria tables for Berlin Elementary. I added $500 to the facility budget line. It's a nominal increase to account for the cost of replacing existing equipment for the custodial and maintenance staff. Under the contractual and supply codes, first being plant facilities, I added $25,000 to the contractual account. And that is to account for additional costs to care for and maintain the new sports complex, including increased areas to aerate, oversee, fertilize, mow, and care for the lawns, general care and maintenance of the new track, soccer field, and baseball. It also includes some money for whether we do it in-house, using in-house maintenance staff or an independent contractor to work on restoring a cross-country track that extends through the woods behind the track, soccer field, and also the baseball. And it includes improvements to the playground at Berlin Elementary. Under the facilities side, which is the custodial side, I've added a nominal increase, $2,394.60 for the cost of maintenance agreements and contractual services, which continue to escalate at slight percentages each year, year over year. Under the facility side, as we spoke about a number of times tonight, COVID is here. We don't know how long it's going to be here. We don't know when it's going to go away, and we're not sure what exactly is going to happen in the in-between time. As the board knows, we've already made one transfer so far this year from other budget areas into our supply codes because we've run out of money. I will tell you right now that we have just over $1,000 left in our custodial supply code. And as of today, we have just over $1,000 left in our maintenance supply code for supplies. And we still have 3.5 months of the school year left to go. So we'll be making another budget transfer to put some more money into those. We still are buying COVID-19 PPE supplies now, and we have other supplies in order to maintain the building. So again, I added $15,000 to supplies on the maintenance side and $10,000 to the onto the custodial side. And then as far as utilities, again, because of the voice over IP phone system, the phone calls now are all directed through to the middle school, high school, which is where the backbone of that system is positioned, is here. So as a result, the majority of the phone calls are now funneled to the Berlin Middle High School telephone bill. So in order to adjust those budgets so they're more regulated in the appropriate area, I reduced Berlin Elementary School budget by $5,500 and increased the Berlin Middle High School $5,750, which is a $250 net increase overall. So comparatively, as far as budgets, last year to this proposed budget, it's an increase of 0.4%. Guess my other assistant helped me out and took care of me as I forgot to punch the technologically challenged. Other things I do well.
Oh, I think we're done. Are you done?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay.
Any questions?
This is a great presentation because I can follow right into the budget. How is the net increase from 0.04% with all these additions?
Pardon?
How is the net increase only 0.04% with all of the additions?
If you take the total overall budget for buildings and grounds, which for this actual year turns out as an adjusted budget to be $1,862,000, and you divide it into the total amount of additional expenditures for next year, it comes out to be
It's
0.0.
your adjusted budget.
Correct. Right. So it would be, it's going to be slightly higher than that if you use the budget put forth at the beginning of the year, but obviously. Pardon? How much do they spend on monthly, like stuff for COVID? I honestly can't tell you there how much we've spent per month per se, because we usually, but in total, we've spent just about $120,000 so far this year in PPE supplies. Any other questions? Anything under new business? Proposition number 1, bus purchase, Board of Education, specifying prices to voters. 21. Vote for election. Have the resolution in front of you. Any other discussion on the motion? Stevie, I vote?
Yes.
Kelly?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Eric? Yes. Sherry?
Yes.
Rachel?
Yes.
Tommy, yes. Any business? Now I have a question.
We have,
I would like to add in, our inventing at our school, we recently technology through the Samsung software contest. Ms. Letmore is the advisor of that. I know we had won this similar challenge under previous administration, and very little to none of the rewards were seen to the actual inventing club. So currently, we have guaranteed 15K for our in technology. We have a 13% chance of winning $65,000 or more. And if that does happen, I know someone brought up the challenge of laptops, Chromebooks, not having enough of those. Not to say that the whole club would not need a whole 65,000, but that would help with Chromebooks, and it would also, but the club just asked that under this administration, we see some bit of the money be earned and not have it completely go to IT departments and other departments.
The money that the event team has won hasn't gone to the event team.
So, yeah, so under previous years, I believe we received a printer and a camera. We'd have to ask Ms. Wetmore for the actual thing, but she asked that like a Chromebook or something be set aside for each person who worked on the challenge. The team consists of 8, well, I believe this year that could be wrong, grades 8 through 12. And she just asked that the kids participating get some bit of recognition for their work, because they're the ones doing all the work to win the money.
Karen, I have a question. If a team like the event team wins money, how does that come into the district?
So it wasn't money, it was,
No, if they win money, how does
right,
it?
it wasn't money. it
No,
was-
I realize that, but if they do win money, how does it come into the district?
I can tell you that because we haven't had that winning money. So typically it would come in like as a donation, but as far as it being a win, I
I think I can shed some light on that. What happens is, like, for example, we talk about Miss Wetmore's program. Okay, so they are in the running for grant money. What happens is it goes to fund the quality of like the quality of robotics that they're able to purchase for their competition. So the money that they win will go back into their program so that they can get higher quality products to be able to run a project. For example, one project that they're looking at running when the ponds unfreeze is all of the money needs to be spent towards purchasing equipment to create a robot that will remove invasive species from a specific area, from a specific pond in a local area. So they've set their grant writing very specifically to a project that they would like to do, and there is an amount associated with what it would take to get that done with high level of technology. Then what happens is they use that money to actually purchase the pieces, the equipment that they need in order to get it up and running. So it's not like an amount of money comes in, it's that they're like almost like credited a certain amount towards their project that will directly apply to their research project, but their research project has to meet certain criteria, and then what they're able to purchase to make their project happen goes right into their work, their very specific work as it has been described in the grant when they write it.
So it's grant specific. The grant specific, so all the funds come in are specific the way the grant is written.
Very specific, like for example, exactly what I was telling you. They're looking to create like a floating robot that has an eye, and the eye is able to drop down to the floor of the pond, and then it's supposed to be able to discern invasive species and then collect them and take them out. Like that's how specific, and the type of invasive species is defined, and their procedures and their write-up and all of their CAD drawings for what it will look like are all defined. And then I think it's like Sony, I think is the name of the company, will go through and sort of like price out exactly what it will cost to make that happen. And then they either get the funding to make the project happen, or they planned it out and they can sort of do the best with what they've got at a small level. But it's kind of like, working with a flip phone versus working with the latest iPhone with all the technology. And that's what, that's what they're competing for, I guess, is the grant. Will they win the grant to be able to do their project with cutting edge technology or not?
Just to elaborate, so the last time we won $15,000. They only were semifinalists. So the way it worked is that Samsung they picked out the technology we won. So that $15,000 is translated directly into Chromebooks, laptops, printers, computers, and Samsung had a moving truck, and that was all the technology. This year, I believe we do get to pick how we want our money to be distributed on Chromebooks, different technology, but it is the prize money does get translated into tangible technology that is used throughout the whole school, not just for the club.
That's true. Sometimes they need a specific type of like 3D printer in order to make the parts, and then the school is able to keep that.
And then also, sorry, for Mastermind, not only did our varsity win, but so did our JV. Both teams have won their league. As for the error, the Masterminds messed up the JV score and the varsity score. So varsity beat Tamarack 500 to 30, JV beat Tamarack 130 to 120. So our varsity ended up winning our league by 30 points. So when they put our score in as the JV score, we didn't win by enough to put us ahead at the top. But when they fixed the score and put our varsity in as the 500 to 30 win that we had, we ended up winning the league completely. So as for that, we were getting a trophy. We have, I believe Mr. Christian has many trophies and awards from the past. We have shelves for athletic trophies. I think we were asking if there's a way that we could get a trophy case or something where we can display some of our academic clubs that have won trophies in the past. I know our Envirothon, we placed 11th last year at state. So one place shy of receiving a trophy, but I do believe that there should be some place in the school where not only can you see athletic trophies, but you can see our academic clubs as well. Because again, that's one thing that is not really showcased at our school. We have a science bowl team, a history bowl team, a mastermind team, a science Olympiad team, an invent team, and an Envirothon team. As you can tell, that is a lot of academic clubs that we have that don't get showcased like sports do. So I think a trophy case or something along that line would be a nice way to show students the other opportunities that aren't as widely publicized as fall sports or spring sports that would help spread the word about these other opportunities.
That sounds like a super opportunity for Mr. Grant, Mr. Paravella, and I to work together on over the summer.
And also, lastly, sorry, we have link tomorrow. I am a link leader from last year and to this year. We have seen a huge decrease in number of participants, which is definitely something that concerns me as a link leader. I know our advisors have been struggling to find ways to help these freshmen get engaged. So we basically last year, we did it during advisory. They had no choice but the freshman classes to come down to the gym. Once we switched to remote, it was really hard to keep in touch with these kids because no one is on the other side of that screen telling them to go join these meetings. We've tried games, we've tried Kahoots, all different types of strategies to make the meetings more engaging. But freshman year really sets the pace for high school. So it's really important that these kids utilize the resources Ms. Bugsby and Ms. Hart are offering to them to help make this transition a little easier. So I don't know if there's a way that if there's any parents on right now that have freshmen kids, I would try to encourage them to join the meeting tomorrow because it is a really important way for us to not only hear what the freshmen are going through, because we help them just as much as they help us. If they have a teacher that's really like, not that they have any teacher complaints, but if they have complaints about, if they do have complaints about anything that is making their adjustment period harder, it will be, we're really a resource for them. That's less scary than going to another teacher or administration. So I definitely think it's an important club that we have, and we should definitely make sure we have these kids using the resources that we're offering to them. So it's posted to Schoology. We also have group pages on Schoology. We also have their email. We've emailed these kids. We've Schoology messaged them. We've tried our best to reach out, but again, since they're coming into high school, all they've known is remote high school learning. So yeah, because again,
If we can advertise that, the parents involved.
That's what I figured, and how much, and it's really hard because it's such an important opportunity for them, and they don't really, no one's making these kids, spend 30 minutes under Wednesday to really realize what's out there.
Thank you.
Hopefully the turnout tomorrow translates the effort we've been putting to promote these events.
Thank you. I have one public comment. There's no question from King Colin. The question is whether Berlin is considered increasing in-person instruction to 4 or 5 days per week for the middle school, high school, like in Lebanon
it was already answered earlier today. I think you already answered it, Dr. Dar.
She thinks you already answered it. Why don't we just answer here tonight? So everybody.
All right, yeah. Thank you, Ms. Collin. Yeah, in a way, I did address this before, that we are considering it. Sorry, I'll mute myself. So we are considering it. We're looking at the 3 feet versus 6 feet rule and how that would impact transportation, cafeteria, and our classrooms. We are planning for it. You know, we would love to have our students back to in-person 4 or 5 days per week, but we also have to keep in mind the regulations and guidance that we get from the Department of Health and from NICET as well. But we are considering it because our goal is to get our students back in a safe manner. And we're going to keep working towards that. And as we get updated guidance, we will be reaching out to the community as well to let them know. And hopefully it'll be sooner rather than later. That is our hope.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Date locations, next meeting, the roundtable Thursday, April 1st, 7:15 to middle school, high school. Regular meeting Tuesday, April 20th, middle school, high school at 7:15. And before I go off to executive session, Jordan, I'd like to thank you for your input and energy. It's going to bring another dimension to the board. Thank you. Can I have a motion for an executive session? I'd like to thank everyone for coming out and stay safe.